just pick any location. I don't really, it doesn't, for this purposes, we'll just do whatever. Just pick something you might be familiar with. This would be more specific addresses or specific places. You have a quick select feature, which I'll show you, where we can go in and actually do by business type or business name, and then get full lists for, any kind of region or even for the whole country. So for this, Walmart, how about this one in Westbury? Similar to Google Maps, we'll draw a polygon around the location. This line that I'm drawing represents about a 1 meter thick line. I'm just going to go out to here, grab some of the parking lot. So everything within there, we're making observations. Everything outside of it, we're exempting. So this blue area now, it's going to be our area of observation. We keep about a year's worth of data in here. So it's literally a year's worth of active data. And then we have almost 9 years worth of historical data. We don't keep the rest of it in there for two reasons. It's just hard to manage that much data or information. And also we find that a lot of times mobile data tends to decrease in its value as it gets older, as people get new phones, updates, change things out. We tend to see that it's not corrupted, it's just not worth anything anymore. So I just went for like a 30-day look back, just something quick. So if you're a user on here, I'd recommend you use whatever tags. Like for this one, you would say whatever the law firm is or the campaign is. Give you something that will refresh it, because especially when you're going to be doing hundreds of geoframes, you want to be able to find them quickly in the system. We can aggregate those into one audience so that you're doing the same. It just makes it easier. You can refresh them, do clones, those types of things. So I'm going to save that. So for our purposes here, like in this case, like your list of geoframes would pop up here, and you could select as many of these audiences as you would want. So you can collect the 20, 30, or just one in our case here. We've got 2,500 devices. The way that we do the observations is a lot of SDKs and some location services. So it really depends on people's dwell time. Places like a doctor's office, I'd imagine you're going to get quite a few because people are just sitting around waiting for their turn. I'm going to create a couple of reports here. Do you do any political advertising? All right, so while that builds out, this is also where you would publish. So on here I think we have about 26 direct connections to DSPs. So it'll push the audience directly into there. And then also we can link to your Facebook ad manager. So we can push the same audience into there. Now, this one comes with a caveat. Once Facebook gets it, it takes anywhere from an hour to a day and a half to convert. And once they tokenize everything, we sometimes lose about 20% of the audience, because if somebody doesn't have the app on their device, it doesn't show up. So once we pick our publishing destination, so in our case here, we had 3,000 devices or something like that were in that Walmart. That's what this regular audience is. If you wanted to do everyone in the household, that links back to where that device resides. We have a patent on linking those mobile ad IDs to physical home addresses. So twofold, we can use those regular device addresses to do direct mail campaigns too, if you were into that. And then we can also do the household extension. So any other connected device in that household, we can send ads to. The lookalike extension may not work for this particular campaign, but I'm sure you have others that you're working on. This is another one that we use the demographic data to link lookalike audiences, but we also then, since we're a mobile company, we take the behavior of those people and lay that in through our algorithm, and we tend to get a really good response rate on these lookalikes when we're doing something more in the retail space and things like that. And then, so if we'd select that, that would be included. And then social extension is another patent of ours where, let's say you and I are seen at the softball field twice a week. We got kids that play there. Like to go grab a beer at the end of the week, and maybe we go to church together or whatever it is. We have a frequency of devices being observed together, and then we assume that those people are social connections. And we like, again, for retail, like this really kills it in the car space or automotive space, where it's like anybody who's an influence on that person, we want to serve ads to as well. What we have a connection to, we can't do, Google is a very walled garden when it comes to AdWords and their ads. But we do have a connection through OpenX. We can send deal IDs to the DV360. So essentially their DSP. Well, actually, through OpenX, we can push into any one of these DSPs, but I do believe you still have to have an account or a seat on that desk. It's more of like, hey, I have a DV360. I want to use these audiences on my seat there, and we can send those over there. But we also have something we just launched, which is our own DSP. And we've been getting some really good results with that as well. So if that's something you want to explore, we can do that, where everything would just stay within the system and makes it easier for attribution and those types of things down the line. It's an option for you. StackAdapt, we have a lot of clients that use them. So if that's what you're comfortable with, I would say just stick with that. And I don't know why this other report's taking so long here. I'll show you the heat map though. So this is for that Walmart. So I told you that we tie back to the home addresses. If we zoom in on any of these, you'll start to see single blue dots. Those are the home addresses or homes of those individual devices. We can also, for B2B purposes, we can switch that up to workplaces. So you can see, obviously, they're going to condense more where the businesses are. And then we also, this one's just more cool. I haven't really found a real application for this, but this is our geoframe that we drew. And then this shows where the devices were observed. So it makes sense that the back of the building wouldn't have as much where the warehouse is, but you can see where everybody else the observations were made. Let me go back here. Hang on, I got to show you this too. So once we tie back to those home addresses, it also generates, can you see this screen? It's loading. All right, we'll pop back to that here in a sec. Doesn't normally take that long. Oh, did it pop up? Yeah. So this would be the total amount of visits right here. Can you see my cursor? The 8,000 total visits. Of those, we saw 2,500 unique devices. So these are one-offs. And then obviously some of these people were there multiple times. You can see the frequency of visitors. So even if we wanted to get more sophisticated with your doctor's offices, we could say in a 30-day time frame, anybody that's there more than 16 times probably is an employee. We can remove them if we need to. But this also shows time of day when people were visiting, what days of the week were the most busy, what zip codes they came from, ages, average household income. And then if I go to the demographic report, it has a lot of the same information, but adds some more self-reported data. So what type of household are you living in? Are there children present? Do you contribute to charity? What are your interests? Those types of things are all available for us to build audiences out of, and then also to report back to your clients to let them know who's visiting them and those types of things. So I mentioned there's a couple other ways that we can build some audiences. So one of them is predicted movers. I don't know if you have any. So what we would do then is say, start an audience name like February, blah, 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 like whatever that company is. You select a month of when we want to know when people might be moving. And then we select a list of the zip codes that you want, and it spits out. This is essentially mining our 9 years worth of mobile data and predicting when people might move. And we can also do a typical demographic builder. So if you want to pick a state, major metropolitan area, zip codes, we can even do postal carrier routes. So if you have people that are big into direct mail, I know a lot of home repair people, pool people, those types of things like to use postal carrier routes because they're very efficient. Their cars or trucks can go along the postal carrier route and hit 4 or 5 houses as opposed to one at a time. Been a nice ad. We can do things by demographics. So that, maybe for this campaign, we know that most of the people that are affected by this Zantac thing are 45 and older. We want to limit that to them. Any interests that we mentioned earlier, like what are they into, we can go into that. Maybe it won't work for the cancer thing, but maybe you have some other clients that might benefit from that. So household income, net worth. We have some clients that do super high-end condos, and they are not interested in talking to anybody has less than a $500,000 net worth. So we can build that out for them. This one helps, especially with like Facebook and social media campaigns where you might want to get a little bit more granular based on people's backgrounds. And we had a company that was bringing a Portuguese soda over, and they knew they had to talk to the Portuguese communities. So we were able to build some audiences for them to get that message out. We can go off charitable giving. And then if you did have political, we have some Aristotle data that we have in here that we can use to build out like who is most likely to donate to a campaign at a state level or federal level, who's most likely to vote in midterm primaries, those types of things. So that's another way to build an audience. I'm going kind of quick here, so just the quick select audiences. I've used this a lot of times for like oil change places. We'll do all the competitors and then send competitors like conquest messages. We can also, a lot of times those types of places have a really good CRM. So if we wanted to do a digital campaign, we could take their address list that they would normally send direct mail pieces to, load it into here, and convert those into mobile IDs. And then we can do a digital campaign to either supplement a direct mail campaign or to take its place. And we can do the same with the business locations. So any of those business locations, then we say, well, just changes it to like, we're dropping a pin on that. And then we're saying what radius we want around those businesses to grab the devices that were near there. So we can do a 90 foot, 165 feet, all the way up to 650. So like that Walmart, you might be closer to the 650 foot radius from the center of the roof to grab as many devices as you can for that audience. Lat long, a lot of people use this for doing their like out of home advertising, so billboards and that sort of thing. So you can hit the lat long locations for where the billboards are, and you can do the same thing and say, hey, I want to know everybody who was within 245 or 325 feet of that billboard, assuming that then they saw the billboard. And people will use that to like, a lot of the casinos will use this because they might have 50 billboards and 20 of them are working. Two more things just to add a little frosting to it, because we can convert IP addresses. So if you have a list of IP addresses, we can convert those to MAIDs. And then we also have a cookieless web pixel, which just does an IP observation. So no need to accept cookies or anything like that. And that's just something that kind of sleeps in the background of the website. It's a good way to build some audiences as people hit landing pages or what have you. And then this is one that I really like, attribution reporting. So we can do this one of two ways. Like the target audience would be, say, everybody that went to these doctor's offices. And we say, all right, we built this audience of 100,000 devices over the country or whatever the number is. That was our target audience. Our destination was to go to this landing page, and that could be the web pixel that's working in the background, or you guys, if you have a traditional pixel that you use, we could convert those into something we can measure as well. And we're just measuring of those people, how many people made it to that destination. This works really well with like your oil change guy. Like, hey, we served 25,000 people this ad, and of that, we saw 250 of them show up at your dealerships or what have you. And then we finish the report that runs it out. We'll look forward to talking to you again. Hopefully we'll get everything lined up. You guys can start making some plans on executing. Talk to you.